recently asked if you have any questions for me, and I said anything goes. And wow, did you ask me some really good ones. You asked me about winter camping, camper maintenance, and solo camping, and so much more. So here are my answers, and let's start with Allie's question. And Allie asks, solo camping for women over 50, any advice? We'll be camping in a state park with electric and water if pipes aren't frozen. First, big kudos to you, Allie, because you're gonna give winter camping a try. Because here's the thing, people often think that I'm a little crazy when they first find out that I go winter camping, especially when they learn that I live in Minnesota. Well, I am a little crazy, but the truth is that I love winter camping just as much as I love camping in the summer months. And winter camping's not hard. There's just a few things that you do need to prepare for. Starting with my first tip, and that is if temperatures are gonna reach below 32 degrees, you absolutely need to winterize your camper. I'm not sure where you live, Allie, but if where you do live, the temperatures are gonna get below freezing, you must winterize your camper. Someone else asked about freezing pipes, so I'll talk more about the problems that you will have if you don't winterize your RV coming up. Okay, so when your RV is winterized, you can't put any water in the system. I think this is the main reason that most people think that they can't use their RV during the winter months or in cold temperatures. But there are a lot of easy workarounds. First, just bring water with you. Of course, bring drinking water with you, but then also bring some extra water with you. For example, let's say if you want to wash your dishes. If you have a gas stove, then just heat some water and wash your dishes in a tub. You don't want to be washing your dishes in the sink because you can't drain the water down your pipes. And next, when your RV is winterized, you can't use your toilet. So I have a couple tips for this. First, you can camp at a campground that has a bathroom that you can use. The campgrounds that I've camped at during the winter, they do have flush toilets, but these are closed during the winter months, of course, because of pipes freezing. But they do have pit toilets, so I use these. If you do plan on using the campground bathroom facilities, then I suggest getting a campsite as close to the bathroom as you can. And secondly, you can use a portable potty. I use one because personally, when duty calls in the middle of the night, I don't like to get all bundled up and venture outside when it's so cold out there. It's not glamorous, but it's well worth it. You also need to know that the colder it is outside, the more propane you're gonna use to keep your trailer heated. It gets really cold in Minnesota, and I've gone through a 20-pound propane tank in just 2 days. Of course, how much you're gonna go through is gonna depend on how cold it is where you're camping. So to save on propane, bring a portable heater. I always bring a portable heater with me and use it as my primary heating source. And this small portable heater really keeps my camper nice and toasty warm. I've heard a lot of people like to use the Mr. heater, or it's also known as the buddy heater. But I don't recommend this. Those heaters produce carbon monoxide gas, and that kind of gas can be fatal for both us and our pets. If you do use one of these heaters, make sure that you have good ventilation and a good alarm. But I think, why take the chance? Just get a portable heater that doesn't give off any deadly gases. You also mentioned solo winter camping, Allie, so let's talk a minute about solo camping for us gals. When I go solo camping, whether in the winter or the summer, but especially in the winter because there's not as many people around, I always put 2 camping chairs out. And I've also set my husband's boots outside the front door. Doing these 2 things should lead people to think that there are 2 people camping there, and it's not so obvious that I'm camping alone. Someone else also asked about solo camping, so I'm going to talk more about this coming up. Okay, another really quick tip. Wear layers. Wearing layers is just a really good way to stay warm when it's cold outside. And it's really easy to take layers off when you are inside. I did a previous video about what I wear to stay warm while I'm winter camping and about the portable potty that I use. So if you want to learn more about these, I'll leave information to those videos in the video description below. My last tip about winter camping is just do it. Because if you have an RV, why not enjoy it year-round? Please be sure to let me know, Allie, how your winter camping adventure goes. Next, Greg asks a question about traveling with a travel trailer during the winter. But first, real quick, if you're new here, I'm Randy. And every Thursday, I help you make big memories in small campers. And say it with me, because weekends are just too short. And I want to tell you, the reason that I love reading and answering your questions so much is it gives me the opportunity to address your specific challenges, obstacles, and concerns. And if you have a question about something, chances are real good that others do too. So together, we're forming a community where we can all help each other. With that said, I'm really excited to let you know that I'm going to start a monthly Q&A video, and I'm calling it Make Big Memories in Small Campers Q&A. Great name, huh? I do a new video every Thursday, and I'm going to be doing this brand new question and answer video the last Thursday of every month, and you can ask me anything. To get your question answered and highlighted in an upcoming Q&A video, just leave it in the comments section right below this video or on any upcoming videos that I do. I look forward to hearing what's on your mind, so keep your questions coming. Okay, on to Greg's question. Me and my wife are planning a trip to Las Vegas. We live in Michigan. We're gonna leave in January. We're wondering how to travel with a travel trailer. Any tips on traveling, water, or toilet? Currently, our RV is winterized. I wish you could make a video on cold weather traveling. I get a lot of snow in Minnesota, and that's nothing compared to how much snow you get in Michigan, Greg. So far, I've not ventured too far away from home with my little guy Max during the winter months, just because of the risk of running into bad weather. My biggest concern is towing my trailer on icy roads, because as we all know, driving on icy and snowy roads is hazardous for any vehicle. Add towing a travel trailer, and this just makes it more dangerous. So the first thing that I'd be doing is watching the weather. While you can't totally rely on any forecast, I'd be checking it regularly to make sure that there weren't any winter advisories that are going to be along your route. As far as water in your toilet goes, bring lots of drinking water with you and other water for things like washing your dishes, like I just talked about. I also suggest planning ahead and looking along your route, and make sure that you have places selected ahead of time that you can overnight at, and that these places do have bathroom facilities. Of course, there's always gas stations for your potty breaks during your travel day. Rest stops are a good place for overnighting so that you can stay on the freeway and you're not going off on side roads that may not be plowed. I'd also suggest that you download the iExit app on your phone. They call it your Interstate Pit Stop Finder. This app is going to help you locate nearby rest stops, especially if you find yourself all of a sudden in some bad weather and need to pull over until it's safe to get back on the road. With that said, most states allow you to overnight at rest stops, but not all do. I'll leave information in the video description below that will tell you what states do allow you to overnight at rest stops and which ones don't, so that you can look and plan along your route and know exactly what states you can spend at rest stops. Oh, and I definitely bring a portable potty with me because you just never know when you may need it. One last tip that I'd give you, Greg, is just go slow. Don't be in a rush to get there. It's better to get there late than not at all. Enjoy your trip, Greg, and stay safe. Okay, this Nomadic Idea asks, how do you keep your water lines from freezing when it's below 30 degrees, especially on hookups? Water filtration gear filters can't freeze or they become worthless. How do you do it? And my answer is by winterizing my RV. When your RV is in a location that does get below freezing, you need to winterize it, or you're at risk for your pipes freezing. And this applies to whether you're gonna go winter camping or not. Because even if you do store your RV in the winter and it is exposed to cold temperatures and temperatures that get below freezing, this could cause costly repairs. And it absolutely gets below freezing here in Minnesota. So I always winterize my camper in October or November. And then I de-winterize it in April or May. Here's what's going to happen if you don't winterize your RV and the temperatures do get below 32 degrees. Any water that's left in your pipes will freeze, and when it does freeze, it's going to expand. When this happens, your pipes will break, your tanks will crack, and your entire plumbing system could be damaged. Yeah, I told you, this could be a costly repair. And winterizing your RV yourself is not difficult. You're basically draining and flushing your tanks and your pipes and then adding in antifreeze. And if you don't feel comfortable doing it yourself, you can always bring it in to get it winterized. If you do own a Little Guy Max trailer, I have videos that will show you step by step how to both winterize and de-winterize your camper. And I'll leave the information for those videos in the video description below. There are more great questions coming up, but real quick, I need to tell you about next Thursday's video because it's a doozy. In this video, I'm gonna reveal 8 reasons why you shouldn't buy an RV. Because here's the thing, RV camping's not for everyone. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the word all right next to the bell, which you can find located right below this video. Do this now so you don't miss out on this upcoming must-see video. On to Diane's question, and she asks, how do you find places to stay in the winter? Like I said, roads can be quite dangerous here in the winter, so I haven't ventured too far from home. The only camping spots that I know of that are within a 2-hour radius of my home are at state parks. While not all state parks in my area are open year-round, there are a few that do keep a few campsites open during the winter months. They don't keep all the campsites open because there's just not a lot of people that enjoy and go winter camping. But then also they only have to keep these few campsites plowed out. If you're looking for places to camp in the winter, I'd start by looking at state parks that are located close by you. You might also find some county and city parks that are open year-round as well. Be sure to let me know what options you find, Diane. Next, Denise asked this question. I know this is a little out of your scope, Randy, but I'm also a single woman over 60 and would like more info about single women camping. I know there's a girl camper group, but that's not realistic for all of us. Smart safety tips and other thoughts and resources for single women. My husband and I were RVers for about 30 years. He passed away this year. I love the lifestyle and don't want to stop. I need to learn smart ways to transition, meet new people, and keep safe. Oh, Diane, I'm so sorry to hear about your loss. I'm 59, so we're very close in age. And the older we get is just the more reason that we need to be spending our time doing what we absolutely love. When I first started planning my very first big solo camping trip, I made reservations at a campground that was more remote because I typically don't like to have neighbors that were just so close by. Well, a few days later, I thought that this was probably not a good idea. I decided to camp at a campground where I could see my next door neighbors. It just felt safer to me knowing that there were other people close by. Also, I had never camped at the campground that I originally selected, but I had previously camped at the other campground. And this made me feel more confident because I knew what to expect. Each campground just really seems to have its own vibe. So I picked this one because I was familiar with it and I felt safe camping there by myself. And because I had camped there before, I also knew that I would have a good cell signal there. It was comforting for me to know that I could call someone to chat to just if I wanted to, or if I had a question. I gotta tell you, solo camping did feel different, and I was definitely more aware of my surroundings than I would have been if my husband had been with me. At night, for example, I'd always pull the shades down because when it's dark outside and you've got the lights on, you can see everything inside. I did this because I didn't want someone just to walk on by and see that it was just me in there. And as I previously mentioned, I always put 2 camping chairs out. Although she doesn't look intimidating, it was also nice that I did have my dog Princess with me. Not that she's probably going to protect me, but she will alert me if there is somebody that's lurking around outside the trailer, especially at night. With that said, I've met some of the nicest people while I've been solo camping. I'd go on walks throughout the campground and I'd stop and chat with people, and they never would know if I was camping by myself or not. There were 2 occasions when I actually ran into 2 other solo female campers and we hit it off. We ended up hiking together, building a few campfires together, and just enjoying some wine. Strangers have actually helped me when I've struggled to get my trailer backed up into my campsite. And some of these people that I've met while I've been camping by myself are people that I still stay in contact with. There are also Facebook groups that are specifically for solo campers. These groups can be great to get more tips from more experienced solo campers and just to ask some questions that may come up. I'll leave information below to the Facebook solo camping group that I belong to. Solo camping is going to feel different at first, Denise, but once you do it a few times, you're going to build up your confidence just like I did. And there's no better way to meet and make new friends than by just doing it, especially when you're out camping, because you're going to meet people that love camping just as much as you do, and you're going to have something instantly in common with them. And maybe you'll meet a new camping buddy. Keep in touch with me and please let me know how your first solo camping trip goes. William asks, what kind of maintenance do you have to perform before and after a 2 to 3 day camping trip? Hot water heaters, gray and black tanks, propane, and batteries. Hey William, I don't really do any special maintenance before and after a 2 to 3 day camping trip other than what I normally do during my regular teardown process. During this process, my hot water heater does get emptied and I find a dump station to empty my black and my gray tanks. And I also make sure that I turn the propane tank off during this process. I also turn the battery off during this process so that the battery doesn't drain between trips. One thing I should have done on a regular basis is when I had a lead acid battery, I should have checked the water levels on a monthly basis. I didn't do this and my battery started losing its charge and I had to replace that battery. So if you do have a lead acid battery, be sure to check your water levels at least once a month. Another thing that you do need to inspect before each camping trip are your tires. You want to make sure that all the lug nuts are tight and that all the tires do have proper air pressure. Oh, and one more thing. When we do hook up our trailer, we always check to make sure that the signal lights and all lights are properly functioning. I hope this answered your question, William. Next up, Love to Camp asks, Overlanding, would you ever consider it? I love this question, and my answer is absolutely. In case you're not familiar with what overlanding is camping in an off-road vehicle in off-the-beaten-path locations. I've secretly had a desire to go overlanding for a while. The idea came to me first when I bought my first Jeep about 3 years ago. And my newest tow vehicle is a Jeep Gladiator. And I think this would be the perfect vehicle for overlanding. I kind of feel like I've already gotten the taste of what it might be like to go overlanding. Because man, have I gone down some really off the beaten path and remote roads with my Jeep. But I've never camped in my Jeep. I do have a big love for camping and exploring off the beat locations. So yes, I definitely want to go overlanding someday. Lisa asked, what is your favorite campsite as well as the worst one you've stayed in and why? Thanks, Randy, you're the best. That's a great question, Lisa, and you really have me thinking on this one. There's no doubt about my favorite camping area, and that's in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan on Lake Superior. But narrowing it down to my favorite campsite's a little tougher because there are a few good ones in the area. If I had to choose just one, I'm gonna pick the 12-mile beach campground located in Grand Marais, Michigan. In fact, I just made a new reservation there for this upcoming summer, and I can't wait to go back. I wish I could just bottle this area up and send it off to you so you could feel just how magical this place is. Okay, now on to my worst camping spot. When my husband and I were traveling from Minnesota and we're going to Texas to visit my daughter and her family, we needed to find a quick spot along the route to overnight at. Well, we pulled into the Texarkana KOA campground and almost immediately had a bad feeling. Someone had stolen a propane tank and there was a lot of loud arguing going on. It didn't feel like the safest place to stay, but it was late, so we spent the night there. Needless to say, we didn't even unhitch and we left first thing in the morning. If I had been traveling alone, I would have left. What great questions you guys had, and I can't wait to answer your question on the last Thursday of next month. And remember, anything goes. So ask away. Ask all your questions in the comments section below or on any upcoming video. I truly cannot wait to read and answer your questions next. Well, that's it for this episode, and I can't wait to see you next Thursday.